What is up, ladies and gentlemen? And today I want to talk about archery in special edition of Skyrim here on the PlayStation 5. So, what I want to talk about archery per se is the fact that there are two things that you have to bear in mind when it comes to archery. There are two ways of doing it. You can use bows or you can do crossbows. Now, what I will say with the crossbows, you will be doing a higher damage only because of the fact of how heavy they are when it comes to the crossbows. But with the bows, as far as I'm concerned, is that they are much more lightweight and you're doing lower base damage. Now, to negate the damage, especially only if the crossbows or with the bows themselves, is that you can go into enchanting. You can enchant like necklaces, rings, and your gauntlets or your headpiece, and basically go up to 40% in archery damage. That's one offset that you can definitely do. I don't think there's any other types of offsets as far as I know, but you can offset it if you end up doing mods or modifications to the game in order to achieve that type of modification to go higher than, going 40% on your enchanting for archery. So that's one thing I will say. Now, what I've also noticed when it comes to bows specific, other than the crossbows themselves, like I said, not only they are lightweight, but they're not always going to do the highest most of damage. But if you go with crossbows, it doesn't matter what color they are, like ebony, elven, or glass, or vice versa. But with the crossbows, what's different with the crossbows, like I said, they are a heavier weapon. Because you can see here, the weight for this crossbow is 23, and the bow of shadows is only 18. So that's why it's a lot heavier, and I don't think it has to do with how heavy it is, but it just has to do with the fact that crossbows do much more damage, not because of how heavy they are. It has to do with it just has to do with how much more impact that the bolt will be able to do from the crossbow. And I think that's another reason why. So as you can see here, when you had the damage on your crossbow, which is 43, but if I equip it, I'm doing 43 damage already with the crossbow, right? But if you go with the bow, you're only doing 32 damage, but equip that, you're doing 39. So that's telling me when it comes to the bows, you are doing damage, but you're not doing enough damage with the bow like you are going with the crossbow. And that's why I was saying it's like when it comes to crossbows, yes, they are heavier. Yes, they are going to be a little louder. But overall, it's not just about how much of the damage that you are doing from each crossbow bolt that you're using to go up against your enemies by sneaking around and taking those long shots, but it's also the impact. It has to do with the impact of that bolt. It's not just coming from the crossbow itself, but it's the impact from the bolt and how much damage or that impact that bolt is creating against that of any kind of said specific type of enemy that you're coming across in Skyrim. So that's the difference here. And so I just want to put this out there real quick because I think a lot of people or I'm sure that there are some people out there that do know what the difference is between the crossbows and the bows themselves in Skyrim. Now, what I will say is that, when it comes to archery, especially in Skyrim, I think in my personal opinion, it's not the most realistic. The most realistic archery I've seen in a game, what I would say it's Kingdom Come Deliverance, which I have played very little of. I do eventually want to get myself back into that game, but I had tried the archery in that game. It's one of the most realistic archery in the game specific, and I think that's what's very unusual when it comes to a game that's much more realistic in terms of its combat mechanic and the archery mechanic in that game specifically as well. But as far as Skyrim is concerned, Skyrim is much more of an arcadey type of style way of archery. Like I said, it's not realistic enough. But in a way, you can say, well, it could be maybe a little realistic in a certain way, but it's really not, because it's like you're not getting, you probably will eventually have like an arrow drop or a crossbow bolt drop, I suppose, in terms of the leveling of how it's going to be fired, but that's just me. But as like I said before of Kingdom Come Deliverance, I tried the archery in that, and it's much more realistic that way, because that's how that game was portrayed in terms of the archery in that game. So it's kind of funny how it works that way, but I guess that's where the realism comes from in between Skyrim's archery and Kingdom Come Deliverance's archery. So, but anyways, I thought, like I said, I want to put this out there and just, share my thoughts and or opinions of what I truly think about what the difference is between the crossbows and the bows in Skyrim Special Anniversary Edition here at Great Silver Fox on YouTube. So, but if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Be more than happy to reply back, if any. And you guys have a great night. Peace.